Good morning, Ambledown brokers, and welcome to a whole new way of doing things. We're right here in studio, and as you can probably tell, you're not stuck in traffic, and that's just because we've adopted a whole new approach this year of giving you this amazing launch. This is, of course, the Ambledown Gap Cover product launch, and I'm joined right here by some knowledgeable guests who form our panel that are really going to be helping us understand what we can expect in 2020 and beyond. Now, since this is a new way of doing things, let's get you well acquainted with how everything works. You have a chat box. That's where you can send us your questions or comments, and you can also, of course, alternatively use email. That is qa@ambledown.co.za. Now, if you're watching this, then congratulations. It means that you definitely stand a chance to win a R1,000 Take-A-Lot voucher, which is quite exciting. So stay tuned until the end to find out if you are a winner. That's where we'll also get to address some of our questions and get to announce the winners as well, right there on the chat box. If you don't get your questions answered right away, don't despair, because we will actually also be able to address and, of course, answer some of these questions in a podcast that is going to be published by the team in the run-up to 2020. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. I'll first introduce my panelists right here, and you'll get to find out who they are. And what I'll do is I'll ask you guys to just give us a word or two on how you got into the healthcare industry as well. So let me start on my right. Tiago.
Hi, Weza. I got involved in a healthcare project. I found health to be more challenging and exciting than any other in the financial sector. And I stayed there, and it is still more challenging and more exciting.
More challenging and more exciting. Well, that's excellent right there. And Tosca, what about you?
I grew up in healthcare in the Eastern Cape. It was still an interesting time when employers could be risk-rated and experience-rated, and had each employer group had their own increases. It was a time of different HIV programs. We also saw 3 medical schemes were liquidated. So lots of exciting things, and it was an exciting industry, and I loved it. And so many years later now, I still love it.
Excellent, excellent stuff indeed. Colin.
Yeah, thanks, Weza. Got into the industry totally by accident, and as Tosca says, I love it very much. I really enjoy what I do, and the fact that you can help people is immensely satisfying.
Excellent stuff. Now, Michael, how did you get into the industry?
Weza, thanks very much. Spent a number of years in the service provision industry in terms of healthcare, and obviously the opportunity to provide product was always the next step for me, and afforded the opportunity to join Ambledown. So here I am.
Excellent. Well, now that we are more acquainted with the team and we now know exactly how they got into the healthcare industry, let's also get into things straight right away. So I'll start off with you, Tosca. Tell me, you know, South Africa is going through so many different changes every single day. And when it comes to the healthcare industry, what do you see is happening, especially heading into next year?
Weza, you know, you can't look at any industry without looking at the economic climate first that we find ourselves in. And if we just look at some of the very esteemed publications like Stats South Africa, they publish the average salary of a person in the formal sector is 21,190 Rand per month. Council for Medical Schemes published average contribution to medical scheme membership to medical schemes per month is 3,700 Rand. So if combine that, if we look at Business Insider, they published figures. We've really seen 13,500 disclosed job losses so far this year. Only disclosed, the undisclosed are not included. So we're really in an environment where there's a lot of financial strain. And with that, we see members opting out of medical schemes and gap cover and so forth. Or members could just buy down and take up gap cover or look for different alternatives. So we're really in an industry where the economic climate really affects what's going on. Then there also, if we just park NHI for a moment, we look at the other legislative changes, and it really, as we speak, it seems as if there are new pieces of legislation or recommendations being released. And it started really in 2017 with Twin Peaks. Now, also bear in mind that the brokers are duly regulated. So the Council for Medical Schemes, as well as the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, FSCA. So the result of that is that there's really a lot happening in the life of a broker. And if we look at in 2017 with Twin Peaks, it started treating customers fairly. Recently, the policyholder protection rules. And if we then look at some of the other recommendations being released, for the broker, it means that they need to decide what their strategy is going to be. Are they going to be a tied agent or an independent advisor? Are they going to perform binder functions or be a non-mandated intermediary? Because that means that there's quite an onus on data, on what they need to do in the data space. So, and as a result, technological investment. So what we see really is that for insurers, we are being held more accountable for whatever the outsourcing arrangement is. We are being held accountable for that. So for what brokers do or underwriting managers do. And that also means that we may scratch into the salad of the outsourced arrangements a bit more. So all of this is pretty challenging for a number of reasons. And if we look at other recently released health market inquiry, their recommendations, they really left no stone unturned. Whether it is the funders, the brokers, a benefit package with basic benefits and supplementary cover, reference to gap cover in the space. So there's really a lot happening. And one thing that I have seen over the many years is that the healthcare industry is responsive. And as a result, being an optimist, it will be okay.
It will be okay.
It will be okay. The brokers and the funders and people like ourselves on the panel, we're part of a very responsive industry.
Yeah. Well, at least you said it will be okay. Like after all of that, I can only hope so, which is always a good thing to hear. Now, Tiago, as you can see, I'm hearing here that the landscape is so complex. How do you see all of this impacting Ambledown?
I think Tusk is quite right. It is a regulatory minefield out there. And we had to see the impact to the health finance industry from the economic downturn. The biggest change, though, is NHI. I think NHI is arguably the most significant change to health insurance for decades. There's positive impacts. I think the technological changes that are brought around through artificial intelligence or AI, where AI will allow us to understand risk pools. AI will allow us to understand the inner working of cross-subsidies. And from a gap cover point of view, AI will show the impact from medical scheme benefit option changes. Another positive development is that health-related AI algorithms looking at preventative and treatment techniques and patient outcomes will ultimately have a significant reduction in the overall health cost.
Now, this sounds exciting. AI, the fourth industrial revolution, and how is Ambledown really using all of this to take things forward?
We've embraced the changes that are required through the technological marvels such as AI. We've digitized absolutely every process that we can in our business. Obviously a lot of consideration for the individual consumer, a lot of consideration for the broker out there. And out of this digitization comes big data, and AI is hungry for big data.
Yeah, definitely.
So we've used that, yeah.
Excellent. Colin, anything that you want to add to this?
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited about this because of the way we're moving forward. We currently have an app that is in the process of being finalized, and this is going to be a game changer. It's going to change the way our brokers and members submit business going forward. So very exciting.
Excellent. A game-changing app. Michael, care to add? When is the app launching and what can we look forward to? Because I think that's a question that is on everyone's mind right now.
Thanks, Weza. Obviously, we kept it under lid for a while, but 1 January 2020, the app will be live. We spent a lot of time developing this, and obviously credit to our team back at the office, especially Grant. The team has spent a lot of time putting together an app that is aesthetically pleasing but easy to use, and it's going to change the brokers and the clients' access to our business and puts them in control. So we look forward to 1 January 2020.
Wow. Okay. So you're saying that it will be a game changer. It will put brokers into control and so on. Colin, how do you think this will exactly work? How will it make brokers' lives easier?
Well, the app will put all processes onto the phone. So, processes such as online submissions, the broker can sit with a member, fill in the respective information, submit it to Down, and within 6 seconds and I mean 6 seconds of submission, the member will have already received the policy document. Obviously, the broker will be included in that particular email. Data, there's always an issue with regards to data. So it means that the onus and responsibility is on the broker and the member to provide data. The third one is claims processes. It quickens up the claims process. And the last one is the tracking of claims. So yes, it will certainly make life a lot easier.
Excellent. Well, until now, we're referring to it as the app, I'm sure you'd like to know what's the app's name. And I think, Mike, you're probably the best man to tell us. Does the app have a name yet?
Well, obviously, we thought long and hard about coming up with a really good name. And once again, credit to the development team. They came up with a very good name. It's the G app. Obviously, we're in the gap business. And we think that's really going to resonate with everybody. They understand what the app's going to do for them, and it's going to bring them immediate access to our business.
Okay, the G app. Okay, so that's what it's called from here on forward. So let's talk about the G app, Tiago. What's your dream outcome for this app?
It's what Colin said. From claim submission to the assessment to authorization, right to the payment into our customer's bank account in a blink, in real time.
Oh, wow. Excellent stuff indeed. Now, it is being dubbed a game changer, and I hear this word quite a lot, which is a good thing. From what we are saying here, with AI coming into play, companies who embrace it successfully will be able to predict and even manage claims and the claim ratios, and of course, their risk pool far better than before. Is that also meaning cost saving? Is this part of what we're looking at?
That's exactly right, Weza. One of the greatest fears amongst our brokers is high claims ratios, and this results in increased premiums, and the net result is affordability. So the AI allows us to determine the drivers of the utilization and then to make decisions going forward.
Now, Tosca and Tiago both mentioned NHI earlier. Is this a concern that most brokers share?
Very much so. There's a lot of uncertainty out there, how it's going to come forward, the sustainability of it, and will gap cover still be around? So, we don't know exactly what's going to happen because the numbers haven't quite been crunched as yet.
And that's actually quite interesting that you mentioned that, and I'd like to just rope Tiago into this conversation right here. Tiago, with your current view, what are some of the changes and how would it affect gap cover?
There's so much we don't understand about NHI. What will the benefits be? When what will it start? How it will be funded? And from a medical schemes point of view, what will happen to medical schemes? My view is that until we understand more, it's impossible to predict. But as I see it now, is that medical schemes will become the new gap cover.
Medical schemes will become the new gap cover.
I think so.
All right. Well, this is an industry expert, and this is just an opinion, I guess, that could eventually become reality. Who knows? Anything that you want to add on to this, Tosca?
I do agree with Tiago. I think that we all want universal cover, but we have questions around resources, infrastructure, skills, money, and so forth, as Colin said earlier. And I think that if we look at the bill, then there are certain circumstances when a person can look for voluntary private insurance, and that's also what the Section 33 speaks about on complementary cover for schemes. And it speaks around when a procedure is not medically necessary, when it's not on the formulary, when referral pathways aren't followed, when it's not a registered user. So that does mean that there are gaps where cover will be required. And it also, if you think of the principle behind gap cover, it started from shortfalls. So I agree with Tiago that we will see increased competition, and we will probably also see medical schemes becoming a gap provider of the complementary cover.
All right.
I
Yes.
think she's right. I don't think that there will be 3 tiers of cover. You're not going to have NHI, medical schemes, and gap cover. And the impact of that is that medical schemes will be transformed into the additional cover that goes on top of NHI.
Okay. So, Tosca, now this, I'm assuming, is things that will happen probably over a very long period of time. But what is the immediate outlook? Like maybe let's talk 2020 of gap cover.
I think we are currently in a season of medical schemes launching their benefit and rate changes for next year. And sometimes accompanied with that would be benefit reductions. And what that then means is that Joe Public will then look at different ways to make good for the reductions in benefits. And that's why I see an increase in gap cover. I see as medical schemes reduce benefits, we'll see more people becoming aware and taking up gap cover products. I think the challenge for the gap cover provider would be the risk management tools and the management of the risk of the book that's coming on.
Okay. Going over into 2020.
So yes, we going over into 2020, we far more focus on the management in the book. So there's 2 major changes in terms of how business works. I think the first is that we're looking at PMB claims. We're looking at the recovery of PMB claims. We need that benefits are allocated to the appropriate funder. And we've got a new, completely focused team looking at PMB recoveries. The second is we're starting a process whereby we're negotiating a mutual relationship with the specialist providers. And it gives us 2 things. It reduces claims and reduces utilization. And it gives us a good understanding of what the utilization will be in the future too. It removes provider disposition from the equation of trying to understand what the ultimate utilization will be in a book.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Let me jump straight over onto this side and bring Colin into this conversation. Let's maybe now refer to the legislation and everything that is going on. Let's look at the compliance and exactly what guidelines brokers need to follow and take to make sure that they're still complying in how they sell Amble Down products.
Right, thanks very much, Weza. It's obviously important just to realise right up front from a broker perspective that in order for a member to qualify for gap cover, that particular member must belong to a South African registered medical aid. Thereafter, the compliance issues is the broker must have the required license in place, which is the short-term insurance license. With that being in place, they would then need to apply for an intermediary agreement with our insurer. Once that has been issued, the respective reps, consultants, need to have the right license in place, which is also your short-term personal lines license. That particular rep stroke consultant must also be registered on the FSCA website. And then once that is all in place, our compliance department will issue the rep with a representative code. Moving forward from there, the responsibility for the consultants being in the know, in other words, having the product training and the knowledge is entirely their responsibility. We, however, assist the brokers by providing product training. We also assist the brokers by providing an online accreditation test. And that's really all. Once that is in place, the consultants stroke reps, they can continue to sell our products.
Great. While we're already talking about brokers and the importance that they understand the guidelines, let's maybe also talk about what the brokers need to know about the Ambledown products for 2020. Tiago.
Well, to be very honest with you, if there's no wholesale change in medical schemes, there's no requirement that we change our products. Our products, in my mind, have been right from the beginning, and they continue to be right. We've added a few things to it. I think we have to review and make sure that our products are appropriate for the individual consumer. So we did things such that we allow for once-off non-DSP hospital admission, the co-payment for that. We've adapted our radiology to include PET scans. And of course, as every gap provider out there will do, we've adjusted the overall benefit that is allowed to in terms of the demarcation regulations to 165,000. The biggest change we've made to our products is the way that we operate, the simplicity we give our customers and our brokers through the app and other means.
Excellent stuff indeed. It's so good to be. Sometimes some companies call it customer centric. In this case, broker centric. So. Talking more about these brokers and exactly helping everyone understand where we're going. Michael, I'd like to bring you in on the marketing advice that you can give brokers regarding the Ambledown products and also how Ambledown Gap cover has been positioned.
Thanks very much, Weza. And the brokers are the key business partners of ours, and we've built a great relationship over a number of years with them. And obviously, they've helped us formulate a plan in order to make our products stand out as they do in the market. And we've highlighted some key pointers which Colin will run through around what are the value proposition and how our brokers can take that to market to help their clients better understand the value that Ambledown brings to their client.
So we'll now cut over to Colin as he tells us about the 7 reasons why to choose Ambledown.